Going Down. Anal Brats 15. First Time Anal Sex Erotica. Written by Kimmy Welsh. Narrated by Kline. Going Down. Anal Brats 15. First Time Anal Sex Erotica. It was July, and it was hot. The kind of heat where you can feel it on the back of your throat as you take a breath, and we'd get more of it to come. I wouldn't mind the temperature ordinarily, but it was really sweltering. My apartment had air conditioning, but I hated being cooped up in there, especially on a day like today. I was 19, with the world at my feet, or at least that's how I felt. I'd gotten a great marketing job straight out of high school, and I'd made so much that I was able to afford my own place. Mom and Dad had a lot to say about it, of course, but I knew I'd made the right decision. Nothing's better than getting home after a hard day, taking off your bra, turning up your music, and unleashing the ice cream. I could only do one of those things when I lived at home. Apartment life came with other bonuses, too. Not long after I moved in, I met a nice guy from down the hall called Stuart. We got on great for a couple of months. I even met his parents, but it didn't last. The whole thing just felt a bit platonic, not least because we never had sex. I figured it'd happen for me sooner or later, but Stuart wasn't the guy for me. He's a bit immature, I guess, which is kind of messed up because he's in his 20s. Anyway, that kind of made things difficult. Whenever I left the apartment, I'd do a quick scan down the hall to make sure it was empty. We got on fine, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't want that awkwardness. You ever heard the phrase, shitting on your own doorstep? That was me. Nice going, Taylor. That day, I wore a short purple summer dress with a white t-shirt underneath it. I liked to feel the air on my bare legs, and, if I'm honest, I also liked the attention, but not enough to forgo the t-shirt. I couldn't stand another day of guys ogling my tits. I learned from my mistakes there. Anyway, I'd done my cursory check into the hall, which now involved peering out through the spy hole before opening the door and quickly thrusting my head out into the hall. Thank God no one had ever seen me, because it would have looked like something from a damn cartoon. The coast was clear. I took a hold of my bag and walked out into the hall. The heat was immediate. My apartment had air conditioning, but the building didn't. I always rushed my way downstairs, or I'd wind up sweating before I even made it out into the street. As I closed my apartment door, alarm bells started to ring immediately. Stuart's door opened, and I felt a weight drop to the bottom of my stomach. I closed my eyes and took a breath, listening to the tail end of a conversation.
"I'll be by again in a couple of weeks,"
a deep voice said.
"Just make sure you look after this place, okay? And yourself."
The guest left quickly, and the door closed. He took a glance back at me, and then a double take. I started to smirk, feeling a touch more confident about my outfit. But as we both approached the elevator, I realized why he'd looked back.
"You're Taylor,"
Stuart's father said. "Hey, Mr. Clarke," I chirped, and I quickly realized I'd immediately run out of things to say. The doors of the elevator opened, and the pair of us stepped inside. Mr. Clarke seemed to be one of those people who could happily just enjoy the silence. But I'm totally not that kind of person. It immediately felt awkward to me. I needed to fill the silence with something. Anything. "Going down?" I asked. Of course he was, Taylor. Where else would he be going?
"Actually, I'm checking in on another tenant on the first floor."
Cool. It was not cool. I punched the numbers on the elevator, and it lurched into life. Inside, the temperature was off the charts. If the building was hot, the elevator was the goddamn epicenter. I wondered how the metal didn't melt in there sometimes. "So, another tenant?" I asked, keeping one eye on the numbers as they illuminated above the door.
"I rent out a few properties here," Mr. Clarke said. "Kind of a side business, you know?"
"Oh, I..."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?